Hello everybody. Imagine a land where endless sands stretch as far as the eye can see, where the call to prayer echoes 5 times a day, and nearly every inhabitant lives in harmony with a single rhythm, Islam. This is Mauritania, a country in northwest Africa rarely mentioned in global conversations, yet it holds powerful stories of faith, resilience, and survival. Mauritania is home to around 4.5 million people. They dwell at the western edge of the Sahara Desert, amid dry winds and extreme temperatures that define daily life. Its capital, Nouakchott, stands on the shores of the Atlantic Ocean, a coastal city striving to balance modernity and tradition while grappling with limited infrastructure. What makes Mauritania truly unique is its demographic makeup. Nearly 100% of its population is Muslim. Here, Islam is more than just a personal belief, it is the breath of life, the pulse of law, and the core of the social order. The Maliki school of Sunni Islam is the dominant tradition, and Islamic law forms the foundation of the country's legal system. Yet behind this strong religious identity lies a host of challenges faced by the Mauritanian people. The country consistently ranks near the bottom of global welfare indices. Human development indicators are low, access to education and healthcare remains limited, and the majority of people rely on the informal sector, such as livestock herding and subsistence farming, which is vulnerable to drought and climate change. Still, the story of Mauritania is not all bleak. Amid the modest lives of its people lies a powerful will to endure, to keep moving forward in the belief that tomorrow can be better. This nation stands as proof that even when gripped by poverty, spiritual values and community remain strong foundations to lean on. Beneath the sands of Mauritania lies a trove of hidden riches, iron ore, gold, copper, and even untapped reserves of natural gas. But like a mirage in the heart of the Sahara, that wealth often feels out of reach for the vast majority of its people. Mauritania is a land of contrasts. On one side lies immense economic potential from mining and marine exports, on the other, a harsh reality: around 2/3 of the population live in poverty or just above the poverty line. In many villages, access to clean water is still a daily struggle. Schools and clinics often exist only as empty buildings, lacking teachers or medical staff. What went wrong? Much of Mauritania's economy depends on the export of raw materials, especially iron ore, which accounts for about 40% of export revenue. Yet this income is unevenly distributed. Many inland regions, where most of the population resides, never see the direct benefits of the nation's resources. Poor infrastructure and sluggish bureaucracy remain towering obstacles. Worse still, the country's heavy reliance on agriculture and livestock, sectors highly sensitive to climate, leaves people vulnerable. A prolonged drought or a sudden flood can wipe out livelihoods overnight. When that happens, there are few choices left beyond relying on foreign aid or migrating to overcrowded cities where jobs are scarce. On the global stage, Mauritania often lags behind. Access to technology, business capital, and vocational training is minimal. Many young people grow up with few opportunities to escape the cycle of poverty. They watch cargo ships leave the ports laden with minerals, yet rarely find a place aboard. And still, amid the hardship, there is a glimmer of hope. Some government and international initiatives have begun to focus on sustainable development and local economic empowerment. Small-scale projects like women's cooperatives and entrepreneurship training programs are starting to take root in certain areas. Though the road ahead remains steep and uncertain, the spirit of the Mauritanian people endures. They persist, they work, and they pray, just as the sun rises faithfully over their desert each day. In Mauritania, Islam is more than a religion. It is the pulse of life, the air breathed from birth, and the foundation of nearly every decision, personal and political alike. Here, Islam does not live on the margins, it stands center stage, guiding each step from household matters to government policies. Nearly the entire population of Mauritania follows Sunni Islam, specifically the Maliki school, one of the oldest and most conservative traditions. Religious teachings are not confined to mosques or madrasas, they permeate daily conversations, local customs, the legal system, and even the national calendar. Sharia law is not just a symbolic gesture, it is officially adopted as the foundation of the country's legal code. From an early age, children learn to recite the Quran even before reading school textbooks. Religious scholars, known as marabouts, hold tremendous influence in society. They are respected not only as spiritual leaders, but also as mediators in disputes, community advisors, and guardians of moral integrity. In many cases, the voice of a marabout carries more weight than that of a state official. But this dominant religious presence also brings its own set of complexities. In certain cases, religious laws are enforced strictly, even controversially. Issues such as freedom of expression, minority rights, and the role of women continue to spark debate, especially from an international perspective. Still, most Mauritanians accept this structure as an essential part of their collective identity. Islam is also a source of comfort amid hardship. When jobs are scarce, when the rains fail for months, or when a child must drop out of school due to financial strain, prayer becomes the last remaining strength. For the people of Mauritania, faith in destiny is not a sign of weakness, but of resilience. They believe that God is always present, even in the deepest struggles. Religion acts as a powerful social glue. In a society marked by ethnic and economic divides, Islam unites. Whether light-skinned Moors or darker-skinned sub-Saharan Africans, all pray facing the same Qibla. The traditions of mutual aid, charity, and caring for orphans are deeply rooted in Islamic teachings and flourish within this society. Beneath the religious facade and the simplicity of Mauritania's people lies a set of deep social wounds that are not easily healed. These wounds are not always visible, but they are felt, in the gaping inequalities, in the discrimination wrapped in tradition, and in the silent voices that go unheard. One of the most sensitive, yet undeniable, issues in Mauritania is the legacy of slavery. While slavery was officially abolished in 1981 and criminalized in 2007, the reality on the ground is not as simple as the legal texts suggest. Thousands of people, especially from black ethnic groups, still live in conditions reminiscent of slavery, working without wages, without land rights, and often without access to education. These people are known as Haratin, the most oppressed group in Mauritania's social structure. Ethnic inequality is also deeply ingrained. Mauritania is home to two main groups, the Bidhon, Arab Berber, who dominate politics and the economy, and sub-Saharan African groups like the Wolof, Soninke, and Pulaar. This disparity is evident in land distribution, access to education, and representation in government. Though the constitution guarantees equality, the reality is far different. Women also face significant challenges. While in some communities women hold relatively strong social roles, on the whole, they remain in disadvantaged positions. Early marriages, gender-based violence, and low participation in the workforce and politics remain serious problems. Access to education for girls in rural areas is severely limited, and many are forced to drop out of school before reaching adolescence. On the other hand, urban migration has created a new form of inequality. Many villagers move to cities like Nouakchott or Nouadhibou in search of a better life, only to find themselves trapped in urban poverty. Slums are growing rapidly, crowded with families who survive on informal work like selling food on street corners or carrying goods as laborers. Yet amid all this, voices of resistance are beginning to rise. Human rights activists, women's organizations, and civil society groups are speaking out, despite great risks. Some have even been imprisoned for allegedly disturbing social stability. But the spark of change, though small, is still alive. The younger generation of Mauritanians is beginning to demand their rights, for education, for dignity, and for a more just life. These social wounds will not heal overnight. But recognition is the first step toward healing. And as long as there are those brave enough to speak out, there is hope that Mauritania can one day become a home for all of its people, without discrimination, without oppression. In the vast and harsh desert, beneath a sky that sometimes fails to bring rain, Mauritania stands tall. Despite facing great challenges, entrenched poverty, deep social inequality, and reliance on unsustainable extractive industries, the country shows signs of slow but steady improvement. Like an oasis in the middle of the desert, hope is growing, small but real. The Mauritanian government, often viewed skeptically by the outside world, is beginning to open doors to change. In certain sectors, they have launched development programs aimed at diversifying the economy. Beyond iron ore, the country is starting to tap into other vast potential resources, such as renewable energy, sustainable fisheries, and tourism. The rich natural resources should serve as a bridge to prosperity, provided they are managed wisely and equitably. Agriculture also receives growing attention. Clean water and irrigation management projects to support sustainable farming in drought-prone areas are being carried out. Agriculture is not just about food production, it is also about creating jobs and reducing dependence on food imports. But more important is the role of the people themselves. From remote villages to large cities, the people of Mauritania are starting to rise in their own ways. Women's empowerment initiatives are growing, with more women entering business, education, and politics. Marginalized groups, such as the Haratin, are beginning to find their voices. Young activists, even at great personal risk, are speaking out loud for social justice, equality, and human rights. Social media, though limited in some areas, has become an important platform for Mauritania's youth to advocate for change. They are no longer just waiting, they are finding ways to create a better future. Education, though still a major challenge, is beginning to open many doors for children in both urban and rural areas. This is a hope that one day, in the future, this younger generation will become the agents of change, lifting the country out of poverty and inequality. Above all, one thing never fades: the deeply rooted spirit of religion. Islam, with its values of solidarity, justice, and compassion, remains a source of strength. The belief that destiny can be changed through effort and prayer is the foundation that gives the people of Mauritania the courage to keep moving forward, even though the road to prosperity remains long and fraught with obstacles. Mauritania may be the poorest country in the world, but it is also a land rich in resilience, spirit, and hope. From the dry, harsh desert, the flower of change is slowly blooming. The future of Mauritania, though filled with uncertainty, still holds a glimmer of hope, the hope that every small step toward change is a victory for all.